Good day, boys and girls, and today we're going to be reading the book Planet Earth by Mike Goldsmith and Nikki Palin. So our book for today is Planet Earth. Should just take a few seconds just to look at the cover of the book. We could see a picture of planet Earth. We see different things. We see the water, which is blue. We see the white, which is clouds, and we see the land, which has like a little greenish color, brownish color, and some yellow. And we also see the sun, and you can see a spaceship. So it's Flip the Flaps, Planet Earth. Our table of contents, and we know this is an informational book because we have our table of contents. So if we wanted to find out about planet Earth, we go on page 4. If we wanted to find about air, we go to page 6. So these are real facts because this is an informational book, and we're going to be seeing different informational text features. For example, photograph, the heading. We're going to see maybe captions. So those are some different text features that we're going to be seeing while we're reading this book. And again, it's called Planet Earth. So let's get started. Page 4. So our heading is Planet Earth. Earth is where we live, a planet that spins through space. If you flew to the moon in a rocket, you would see Earth in the sky, like a huge bright disk, colored blue and white. So if we look at the photograph, we see the sun, then we see the Earth, and then it says night and day. Now we're going to read page 5, and first we're going to read the questions, and then on the next slide we're going to flip the flop to find the answers to the questions. So our first question is, what is a planet? Number 2, does Earth really spin? And number 3, why does it get dark at night? I'm also going to read on this side, the path of Earth. It takes 1 year for Earth to travel once around the sun. After 6 months, Earth has traveled halfway around the sun. So now let's read our answers for these 3 questions. 1. A planet is a huge ball of rock or gas that moves around the sun. 2. Yes, Earth spins around once a day. 3. At night, the sun shines on the other side of Earth, so it is day there when it is night where you are. Let's continue. Page 6, the heading is air. The air is all around us. We need air to breathe. Clouds float in it, birds fly in it, and we call it wind when it moves. So if you see the picture, you see people climbing up on a mountain, and it says people climbing, and you also see a bird. Let's go to the next page. So our questions for page 7, our first question is, what is air made of? Number 2, what is the atmosphere? And number 3, does the atmosphere go on forever? And let me just read this side first. The atmosphere. The satellite is about 600 miles or 1,000 kilometers up. Shooting stars are 60 miles or 100 kilometers up. And a jumbo jet is 6 miles or 10 kilometers up. So now let's look at the answers for these 3 questions. Air is a mixture of gases. One of these gases is oxygen, which we need to breathe in order to live. Number 2, the atmosphere is the layer of air that covers Earth like a blanket. Number 3, no, the atmosphere fades away the higher up it goes. There is no air at all many miles above Earth. So we look at the photograph and we see the caption says, people climbing high mountains take air with them to breathe. So if you look at the photograph, you see the guy that has like a mask on, and then you have so in the back he has the oxygen can, and this is how he's getting here, because remember the higher up you go, there's no oxygen and you won't be able to breathe. So you have to bring oxygen if you want to climb up a high mountain. Let's continue. Life on Earth. Planet Earth is full of life because there is air and water here. Fish swim in the oceans, birds swoop through the air, and many other animals run on the ground or burrow beneath it. So we see a panda, we see a butterfly, we see a bird, and we also see a young bamboo shoot. So these are some things that we see in this photograph. Let's continue. Now, our questions for this page are: number 1, are there living things everywhere on Earth? Number 2, are plants alive? Number 3, what is the longest animal on Earth? I'm going to read the side. There are many types of life on Earth. We have toadstools, duck-billed platypus, and we have the blue whale and a frog. So just take a few seconds just to look at this page, and then we're going to continue and we're going to read the answers for these 3 questions. 1. Yes, there are things living in the deepest oceans, on the highest mountains, and even in the hottest and coldest places on Earth. Number 2. Yes, plants live and grow and they breathe too. Number 3. The blue whale is the largest animal on Earth. It is as heavy as 2,500 people. And if we look here, we see the bamboo shoots growing. We also see the pandas and we see a bird. Let's continue. The oceans. Most of Earth is covered in blue oceans of salty water, full of fish and other living things. In some places, the water is frozen into shining white ice. So if we look, we see the puffins, the seal, and we see a boat. And that looks like it could be a shark. Just take a few seconds just to look what you see in the picture, and then we're going to continue. Okay, so our questions for this page is: number 1, how many oceans are there? Number 2, what is at the bottom of the ocean? And number 3, what makes waves? Now we're going to read the side. Life in the ocean. So we have a turtle, a squid, and a deep sea anglerfish. Now let's move on and we're going to read the answers for our 3 questions. Number 1, there are 5 oceans. They are Arctic, Atlantic, Indian, Pacific, and Southern Oceans. Number 2, the ocean has a floor with mountains and valleys. Number 3, waves are made by wind blowing across the ocean. Just take a few seconds just to look at this illustration again. You see your killer whale, you see a fish, you see a boat. And let's move on. Inside our planet. If you dug a hole under your house, you might find many things: soil or concrete, even tunnels or caves. But beneath that, inside Earth, you would soon reach a thick layer of solid rock. And this is a picture of one side of Earth. This is one side of Earth. Let's continue. Now, our 3 questions on this page is: number 1, is it cold underground? Number 2, what is it like deep underground? And number 3, what is in the middle of Earth? Let's read the side before we continue. Inside Earth's surface layer, plant roots and a water pipe, ancient ruins, and fossils. And if we remember, fossils are remains from dead animals. Now let's find out the answers for these 3 questions. No, the deeper you go underground, the hotter it gets. 2, deep underground, it is so hot that the rocks melt and become liquid. 3, There is a huge ball of metal called the core in the middle of Earth. So if we look at this picture of Earth, inside of Earth, we see the crust, we see the inner core, we see the outer core, and we see the mantle. So this is a picture of planet Earth, and it's labeled and it shows you the different parts inside planet Earth. Let's continue. Earthquakes. Sometimes the earth shakes and trembles and huge cracks may appear in the ground. Buildings crack and crumble and some even fall down. This is an earthquake. So pay attention to how the picture looks here, and then we're going to look at it next. Now, our questions for today, for this page is, what causes earthquakes? Number 2, how did earthquakes get their name? And number 3, can earthquakes be stopped? Let's read the side. Why the ground shakes? Most of the time, the rocky plates below Earth's surface move slowly, but sometimes they suddenly slip. I want you to remember, let's go back. I want you to pay attention. Look at the pictures, how it looks here, and I want you to look when I go to the next slide, how it's going to look. Okay, now number 1. Deep on the ground, huge pieces of rock slowly scrape past each other. Sometimes they slip suddenly, making the land above them shake. Number 2. Quake is another word for shake. Number 3. No, but we can make buildings that will not fall down when an earthquake happens. So if you notice here, you could see the building crumbling down. You see there's the ground is cracked. You see the light poles, they're crooked like they're falling down. So this is showing what happens after an earthquake, or what can happen during an earthquake. Let's continue. Volcanoes. Not all mountains are quiet and still. Some of them can throw out smoke and fire like huge fireworks. Mountains like this are called volcanoes. So if you look at the illustration of the picture, you see the fire coming out of the mountain, and this is a volcano. Let's continue. Our questions for this page are, what is lava? Are there volcanoes in every country? Are there volcanoes under the ocean? And if we read the side, an island is formed first, underwater volcano erupts, then the volcano grows larger, volcano cools and plants appear, and then a new island has formed. This is how an island is formed. First, the underwater volcano erupts, the volcano grows larger, volcano cools and plants appear, a new island has formed. So look at the questions again, and then we're going to answer them on the next page. Number 1, lava is a very hot liquid rock from deep inside Earth. It sometimes flows out of volcanoes. Number 2, no, volcanoes are found only in some parts of the world. And number 3, yes, sometimes the lava from these volcanoes turns into new islands. And if I go back to the picture here, you can see, look at the volcano, how it is here compared to it here. You could actually see the inside and how the lava is coming up and how it comes out of the mountain. So today for this book, we read about planet Earth, different things. We learned a lot of information about planet Earth. So when you're doing your lessons, just always go back to this reading to get information, to especially when you have to answer your questions. Just come back to this book just to go through the pages to see what the answers are for your questions. I hope you enjoyed the reading and have a wonderful day.